Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my February TBR. I lose my mind every single February and this year is no different. I am challenging myself once again to try to read 28 books in 28 days. So full disclosure, some of these are going to be books that I am already in the middle of and that I need to finish off. A lot of these are graphic novels, and I don't want to hear any rubbish about how graphic novels aren't real books, they shouldn't count. I disagree, and I think you're talking a load of nonsense, so I won't be having any of that in my comments. Nevertheless, I do still have a lot of actual novels that I'm going to read, and I've gone for some various genres and mixtures to try to keep myself excited about this challenge. So starting off with, let's see, I'm going to go with the bigger books first, I think, because then we can fly through the shorter stuff, I think. I don't know. I don't really know how this is going to go. So first of all, on my list, I have The Unbroken. This is a chunky fantasy book. It's not too large, but it is about 500 pages. So it's not going to be the easiest to fly through, but I have started this one already. I've read one chapter and I know that the writing style is for me so far. I've admittedly only read one point of view, but I think I'm going to enjoy this one. My friend Angela loves it. She's recently reread it, and the sequel to this is coming out in March. So I want to read it and recap it and be prepared for the sequel. I also love these covers. This cover for the first book is stunning, and then the cover for the sequel is even prettier in my opinion. So I don't really know much about what this is about, which is fine. I don't need to know loads going into it. Another kind of chunky one that I'm definitely, hopefully, going to read is The Blood Traitor. This is the third book in the Prison Healer trilogy, and I love the first two books. They're really, really good YA fantasy books. I love all the characters in it, and I need to finish off this series. I can renew this one more time, I think, from the library before I have to go in and explain myself to the librarians, but I'm hoping to finish this off in February, to finish off the series in February, and then it can count towards another series that I have completed. Something a little bit different is The Night Tiger. I have no idea what this one's about, but I'm trying to read books set in different countries other than the US and the UK, as I always do every single year, and I'm going to add them to my map on my stats page. This one is set in 1930s colonial Malaya. I don't really know loads about it, I'm going to be honest. I've just seen it around and I found this in the charity shop for £1, I think, which is a fantastic deal. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to picking it up. This looks chunky, but the font is also quite large as well, so it's not going to be as difficult to get through as maybe it seems. Another larger book that I think is going to be quite fast-paced is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This will be the fourth book I've read by him, I think, and he tends to write sci-fi thrillers that I quite enjoy. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I don't think it's going to be an all-time favourite, but his books normally read really quickly, so I'm counting on him to allow me to read this one in a day. I might actually start it a little bit earlier, maybe like a day or two before February. I don't know. It's not cheating, it's my own challenge, so I can do what I want. I have no idea what this one's about. I'm assuming DNA because that's what's on the cover. Otherwise, I've got no clue, and I might do a full review of this one if anyone is interested. Another one I really want to read is a true crime story. My friend Justine really enjoyed this one recently, and it's told in interview format and I think in a few different documents as well, so it's like mixed media. And she said it reads really quickly, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. This will probably be one of the first ones that I pick up. Another one that isn't going to necessarily be fast-paced, but it is one that I'm definitely going to read, is The Gift of Fear. So I've started this one already, and I'm currently about 50 pages in, but my partner and I have decided to buddy read one non-fiction book every month or so, and we're reading like a chapter a night. So this is one that we've chosen for February. I've really enjoyed this one so far from what I've read of it. It's basically about survival instincts and trusting those, and how fear can actually help you in situations, and you should listen to your gut feeling. Really interesting so far, and it's a topic that I'm already interested in before I pick this one up, so I'm looking forward to reading it with him and finishing this one off. Let's go into some graphic novels next, I think, because I have a lot of them. I'm going to be posting these in my book haul for February, but like here's a bunch of options because I figured I really wanted to read a bunch of these graphic novel series, and now is the perfect time to go ahead and do that, so hopefully I don't get sick of them. First of all, I want to continue rereading Saga and then finally read the 10th book. This is volume 6 because that's the one that I am reading next. I reread the first 5 over the last couple of months, and I've been enjoying recapping them and revisiting them. This will be my first reread of the 6th volume. I can't remember exactly what happens in it, but I remember really enjoying all of these. And then the 10th book will be a new read to me. I also picked up the graphic novel version of The Handmaid's Tale. I read this book when I was 17, I think, in sixth form. We studied it as part of the English Lit A level, and I don't really remember much about it, to be honest. I'm not sure I ever like actually finished the book before we were required to talk about it and write essays and stuff. So I'm going to give it a go in graphic novel format, and then perhaps read the book as well because I still own it. The art style is very interesting. I quite like it. I imagine this is going to be a difficult read because of the subject matter, but I'm very much looking forward to giving it a go. I also picked up Sheets. I was looking for the second book as well, but I couldn't find it anywhere. This one, I don't really know what it's about, apart from the main character is, I think, 13 years old and works in a laundromat, and there's a ghost, I think. Let me just check there's actually a ghost, because otherwise that would be embarrassing. It says here that it's a powerful story about a young girl's perseverance even when all odds are stacked against her, and the laundromat is haunted, so there is a ghost. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I also picked up Fence Volume 1. I've had my eye on this series for a little while. My partner used to be a fencer, which is why this one caught my eye. I didn't realise at the time that I reserved this from the library that it's by the author of Captive Prince, which I'm really not a fan of, but we'll see how this one goes. I also want to read Law Olympus. This is volume 2, but I do have volume 1 coming in at the library soon, probably like mid-February, I reckon. I hope, anyway, because I really want to read this series. I have no idea what this is about entirely, but it's based on Greek mythology, I think, and I know that the author has also published this online for free, but I want to read it in physical format because that's the way that I think I'll enjoy the art style the most. I also picked up volume 2 of Monstrous. I started this late last year, I think, and honestly I'm gonna have to reread the first one because I can't really remember what the overall plot and history of the world building is about, so I'm gonna have to reread that and then get to this. But my local library does have all of these, so if I love this one I'm gonna carry on reserving them until I get sick of them because it just saves me loads of money. This should be like £12 I think online, and I'm reserving them for £1 each, so honestly, it's a great deal. I also picked up Rat Queens volume 1. No idea what this is about, but I've seen it around and it might be a graphic novel series that I'm interested in. I really like the art style of this one as well. I also picked up Giant Days, which is the first in a series. It's about a group of people who go to university, and I guess we're just following them as they start sort of growing up and getting used to it. Don't really know. I didn't go to uni myself, so I've got no idea what this could be like. I also picked up the first 2 volumes of The Sad Ghost Club. I don't know if there are only 2 volumes out or if there are more. I didn't actually realise that this was drawn in black and white, but that's fine. I've heard this is really, really good, so hopefully I'll enjoy both volumes. And that's it for graphic novels. Obviously, I'm going to be reading more of Saga. I might end up reading more of Monstrous. And I might be continuing with these series, maybe. So there are at least 10 graphic novels there that count towards those 28 books in 28 days, which isn't bad. And then obviously I have some shorter books that I'm also putting on my TBR because it's kind of just what I'm in the mood for, and shorter books are obviously easier to devour in a day. Let's go into those. First of all, I have a couple of books that I started in January and want to finish off in February. If I haven't done it already, you might see these in my January wrap up in a few days. If not, then I will carry on with them in February. The first one is Of Woman and Salt. This is a generational story following people who are Cuban or descended from Cuban ancestors. I think it follows like a grandma, her daughter, and then her daughter's daughter, so it spans like 100 years ish. I've started it already. I'm really enjoying the writing style and the setting of Cuba. It started off in the 1800s, so we're just learning a little bit about life in Cuba at that time. I'm also currently in the middle of Ocean's Echo. I've read 77 pages. I'm not finding it as easy to read as Winter's Orbit, which is a shame because I love that book, but I'm hoping as I get further into this I will start to enjoy it more. This is about a rich socialite who is forced to tie his mind to a soldier, and I'm not really sure what the plot is yet, but at the moment they've just met and I'm looking forward to reading more about them. I have a couple of rereads here. The first one is Where You Are by Tamara Webber. This is one that I'm purely rereading for recaptains. I read this years ago and it's a new adult series about a bunch of actors and actresses as they're trying to break into the industry, or they already have done, and it's about their like love lives and personal lives and things. I really like books about famous people and find them very interesting, so I'm looking forward to rereading this one. Probably not going to give it more than 3 stars, but it'll be good to get it out of the way. And then I'm rereading A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I read this as an ARC just before it came out and I don't really remember much about it, so I want to reread this and then get the second book. I bought this recently and it's really freaking expensive. I think it was like £12 for this teeny tiny book, but it's Becky Chambers, so I really didn't mind. This pile next to me is getting higher, you can't see, but trust me, it's huge. I've got a couple of thriller books here that I think will be fast-paced. I've got The Hunting Wives, which again I might actually start in January because I'm kind of in the mood to read this one right now, and it's currently the 29th of January, so maybe you'll see this in my January wrap up. I also have The Family Next Door by Sally Hepworth, who I have read from before and really enjoyed their books. I don't really know what this one's about, but I imagine it's like a domestic thriller set in Australia, and I haven't read anything set in Australia yet this year, so this will be the one. There goes the pile. I've decided to pick up a emotional book as well, because why not, and that is A Man Called Over. I've got no idea what this one's about, but I want to read it before watching the film. Yeah, I've just noticed there's a cat in it, and if the cat dies, someone's going to need to tell me in the comments, because I can't handle another animal death in my books this year, or at all really. Let me just fix this pile before they burn. I've also chosen Never Let Me Go. This one is a sci-fi sort of thriller. I think I know what it's about, but I don't know how much it is a spoiler, because I had the ending spoiled for me, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. But I think this one might be fast-paced. I read his last book, Clara and the Sun, and that was quite fast-paced, so I imagine this is going to be as well. We will see. I've picked up the Versions of Us, which is like a time travel parallel universe type thing, which I always find really interesting and fast-paced, and this doesn't have the best reviews online, but I do think because of the plot structure it's going to be really fast-paced, and I'm going to be able to fly through this one, so that's there in case I'm in the mood for it. I've also picked up Leech, which is a short horror book, which my friend Robin got for me. I think this is about like parasites and stuff, and I don't know if it's going to be a quick read, but I hope it is, and it's just something a little different to the graphic novels and fantasy stuff that I've got here. Again, these are all just like options for me, because I very much need to mood read, I think, in February in order to be successful. I also might pick up Old Man's War by John Scalzi. This is a sci-fi book, and I have already started it, but I'm only a couple of chapters in. So far it's been a very easy read, so again, this is a good option if I want some sci-fi. Speaking of sci-fi, I've also got The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a teeny tiny book, and I did read it when I was younger. I must have been like 12, and I don't think I really understood what I was reading. Yeah, I've put this on there just because it's tiny and it's quite a well-known book, but I don't actually know anything about the plot, but it's under 200 pages, so I don't think it will take me long to read at all. Another one that I might read in January, because I'm kind of in the mood to read it now, is Do Not Disturb. This is the sequel to The Girl in 6E, which is kind of like an erotic thriller. I found this on eBay because it's actually really difficult to find. I started this series back in like 2015 and still haven't finished it, so now might be the time. I also want to try The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. This is about clones, I think. Again, I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, I really don't know. No, it's okay. The back does mention clones. I've read that this is a really weird book. Some people find it boring, but I'm gonna give it a go, see what I think. I also want to try Migrations. This is a cli-fi book. The main character, I think, is following the migration of birds, and there's some of the last birds left on Earth, I think. I'm really into cli-fi, so that's why this is on there. Although it might be a little bit depressing and the font is quite small, so I don't know, it might not be one for February, but it's there as an option. Another option I have is The Devil All the Time. This one I've seen the film of, and so I think the book will read quite quickly because of that, because I'll have the film to reference as well, and again, it's really small. This is about a mixture of things. It's one of those stories where everyone is interconnected in some way, but you don't really realise it until towards the end. From what I can tell you, there are serial killers, a creepy pastor, and a veteran, and that's all I'm going to say. And then finally, I think my last option of things that I'm going to read, maybe, I don't know, like I said, I'm mood reading, so I might pick up something entirely different, is Lessons in Chemistry. I don't know what it's about. But I've seen it everywhere, and I've seen that there's going to be a film coming out of it soon. I think it's set in the 60s. And that's literally all I know. Scientists in the 60s. I'm going to try it and see if it's a fast read, and if I don't get to it in February, I'll probably put it on my March TBR, because I'd really like to read it before I watch the film. So that's my TBR. Let me just do a quick count and see how many I've got here. I've got 32 options, and that should be enough, but because I'm mood reading and I don't want to get into a slump, I'm just gonna have to go wherever the mood takes me. I might pick up some books from my NetGalley shelf as well, because I've got a few of those. I'm thinking in particular Stacey Willingham's new book is out, and I need to read that from NetGalley. And I also have S.A. Chakraborty's new book, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, so I need to read that as well, and I'm really excited for that one, so maybe I'll read that one ASAP. I don't know, we'll see what's going on. It's all about the vibes in February, I think, in order for me to get through this massive TBR. Wish me luck in the comments below. Let me know if you do any challenges like this. Personally, I really enjoy them. I get really enthusiastic about it, and it's really fun to kind of tick off my progress and like track it. Don't worry, I'm not gonna get stressed, because last year I only reached 25 books in 28 days, but that was still a massive accomplishment. So I'm just gonna read when the mood takes me, and hopefully read 28 books in 28 days. I'm vlogging the process, I think. At least I've started a vlog already with like the intro, but I don't know if I'm going to vlog the entire month. You'll you'll find out towards the end of the month, I suppose. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you all in the next video. Bye.